Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaye Shuddha-jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The next mantra, mantra number 12, starts with a Nanu. Nanu is a avyaya padam. It remains unchanging and is used exactly as it is everywhere. But the more interesting thing about this Nanu here is if you refer back to how Bhashyakara started the Bhashyam in the beginning. You remember? He said, I am starting this Vartika. He did not say, I am starting this Bhashyam. If you remember the original thing, he said, Atha Kathopanishad Vallinam Sukhartha Prabodhanartham Alpagrantha Vrittihi Arabhyate. He did not say Bhashyam Arabhyate. What is the difference between Vritti and Bhashyam? We talked about it at that time. Bhashyam, both of them in any case, start with the Mula Mantra. And it takes each word, expands it, explains explain the whole sentence and the context of the sentence. In the case of Vritti, usually there is no Purvapaksha coming in. Whereas Bhashyam is full of Purvapaksha. If you look at even the Bhagavad Gita Bhashyam, there is a lot of Nanu, Purvapaksha coming in and saying, no, how can you say this? Why if you look at it like this? And so on. Here you not may find too many of them. An occasional Nanu will come. More of expansion and explanation of the Mula Mantra. But you will get this occasional Nanu. And sometimes I find this Nanu very intense, very deep. But sometimes I find this Nanu is a little naive, almost looking like this is argument for the sake of argument. You know, in any discussion, even amongst ourselves, we see this. Sometimes people come up with whatever you say, they come up with another point of view and propose that we can look at it like this. But sometimes this is, it is like these political debates. I find that many times when one party has, or the spokesman has nothing to say to defend it. Recently, for example, some people abused, I think, the Prime Minister and his mother and so on. I mean, there is no defense for that. So they would come up with a thing saying, oh, it is only diverting attention. But look at what has been said, and like that, even in now, this thing happens. So sometimes I find this Nanu little naive. This one, for example, Nanu Gatisched Avagatyapi
Nanu Gatischedavagatiapi
Avagatyapi Bhavityam Bhavitavyam
Bhavitavyam
Katham
Katham
Yasman Bhuyo Na Jayate.
Yasmat
Yasmad
Bhuyo
bhuyo
na
na jayate.
You told me in the 8th verse, if you remember the 8th verse, Yastu Vijnanavan Bhavati Samanaskas Sada Shuchihi Satu Tat Padamapnoti Yasmad Bhuyo Na Jayate. You said, once he gets this knowledge, there is no coming back. There is no being reborn. Bhuya na jayate. How can you say that? At the same time, in the last verse, you said this is gati. You remember, sa kashta sa paragatihi. Yad gatvana nivartante, he quoted Bhagavad Gita. You're saying that if you go there is no return, there is no rebirth. But any going implies automatically coming back. Gatihi ched avagatyapi bhavitavyam. You must have coming back. You cannot say you go, no one-way ticket for anything. Go anywhere. Even if you take a one-way ticket and go to America, Trump might send you back. Okay. So there is no one-way ticket anyway. You go also to Sargaloka, you'll come back. Any going implies coming back. And the moment you say pantha, patha, a path for going, that means there's a path also for coming back. This is his objection. How can you in the same breath say there is no coming back, there is no birth again, at the same time you say he should take a path to reach somewhere. If you reach somewhere, you can also come back to where you started from. So this is the kind of objection which I find very naive, because so many places Bhashyakara has explained, and in Sanskritam, any gatyartha dhatu, and there are many such dhatus, which talks about gati, they mean to get it, to gain. Prapyati. In English also we say, have you got it? So he is raising the same type of objection again, to which Bhashyakara says, Naisha doshaha.
Naisha doshaha.
This is again very typical of every time you get a nanu, in many places you will say this is not a dosha. Naisha doshaha. This is not not incorrect. Why? He says, Sarvasya
Sarvasya
Pratyagatmatvat
Pratyagatmatvat
Avagatihi eva
Avagatihi eva
Gatihi
Gatihi
iti upacharyate.
iti upacharyate.
Listen, we've told you this before. I'm telling you again. This is Pratyagatma we are trying to understand. That which is the deepest meaning of I. It is there in every being. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha. Bhagavan had said earlier. I am, you have to recognize me in that upalabdhi sthanam. I'm not somewhere in the Himalayas that you go searching for me in Himalayas. If you go searching for me in Himalayas, you come back. Nor am I in Swargaloka. It is the Pratyagatma, loosely translated as the innermost. Because even earlier, in the previous two verses, we saw how you can go from an external anatma step by step into the sukshma anatma, and in that step by step go into that sa kashta sa paragatihi, into that which is the innermost, that which is sukshmatamam. Incidentally, it never uses the word sukshmatamam. We'll see this again. Sukshmatamam is superlative. But it is, in a sense, the most sukshma. We translate it as sukshma as most subtle. Swamiji incidentally doesn't like the word subtle. But really what it says is the least easy to see, least easy to perceive, the least easy to understand. We've already seen that it is that. And he says, beings, the pratyagatma of every being, being the pratyagatma of every being, gatihi is avagatihi. There is no going anywhere. That I is, call it what you will, Brahman, Atma. It is I. It is not paroksham. It is not somewhere else. It is not indirect knowledge. It is I. So where is the question of going? So it says here, gatihi eva, avagatihi eva gatihi. Wherever you use the word gatihi, the Shastra means avagatihi, meaning understanding. One little avagati also has the same basic dhatu, gam. But avagati, because the ava put in there, means understanding. So gati eva avagatihi iti upacharyate. Char dhatu. Again, upacharyate means it is as though we are only using it as an aupacharik vakyam. It should not take the literal meaning of gati. One should understand this as avagatihi. Therefore, you cannot come up with an objection saying any going means coming back. Sarvasya pratyagatmatvat avagati eva gatihi iti upacharyate. Pratyagatmatvam cha
प्रत्यगात्मत्वं च
darshitam
दर्शितम्
indriya manobuddhi paratvena.
इन्द्रियमनोबुद्धिपरत्वेन
मनोबुद्धिपरत्वेन.
Hey, I'm telling you it is pratyagatma because we have already seen anything distance you take and then you reject as being non-I. Let's slowly come to the subtler and subtler and subtler. Sukshmam, sukshmam, sukshmam. We've gone through in the last two mantras. Already shown darshitam. Darshitam what? Pratyagatmatvam. The nature of what we are trying to understand being innermost in every being. Pratyagatvam, Sarvasya Pratyagatvam. That we have already seen. How have we established this? Because it is, we looked at Indriya, Mano, Buddhi, etc. Step by step we went, and then he said, the adhishthanam for everything, the Atma of everything is only Brahman, I. This we've already established in the last two mantras. So, being Pratyagatma, there is no going. It's only knowing. So, Pratyagatmatvam cha darshitam has been shown Indriya Mano Buddhi Paratvena. That which transcends Indriya Mano Buddhi. All of these subtle elements which owe their existence to this Pratyagatma Brahman. Therefore, we don't have to go anywhere. Therefore, here the Gati should be read as Avagatihi. Yo hi Ganta
Yo hi Gantha
Saha Agatam Apratyagrupam
Saha
agatam
Apratyagrupam
apratyagrupam
Gacchati Anatma Bhutam
Gacchati
gacchati
Anatma
anatma
Bhutam
bhutam
Na Viparyayena.
Na
na
Viparyayena.
viparyayena.
Here also, the thing to understand is Atma Anatma Vedam. When we are trying to understand Atma, it is Pratyak. And if it's Pratyak, there is no going anywhere. But anything other than this, what your argument is correct. Most of these kind of arguments come because one doesn't understand the concept of saying, I am trying to study I. You look at it exactly the way you look at any other object. We are not looking at an object. If it were an object, object means anatma. If it is anatma, what is this true? Yaha hi ganta saha. So if you say somebody is going, anybody who is a ganta, goer, saha agatam apratyak grupam gacchati. He will go to that apratyak grupam outside yourself, paroksha, and can come back. That apratyak grupam parichinna vastu, parichinna destination, anything you take like that, it has to go and come back. Because gacchati anatma bhutam. So where the person is going, looking at for any anatma bhutam, understanding any or going to reach any anatma bhutam, there it's applicable. But where we are talking about understanding the self, sa kashta sa paragatihi, viparyayena. It does not apply to where we are trying to figure out what the nature of I is. And this is supported by Shruti. Leslie thinks Bhashyakara need not have gone to such depth into refuting this, something like they could just one sentence, Gati means Avagati, end of story. And he went into, so obviously the people who were, either he is addressing people who could be asking these kind of questions, or somebody in his audience is asking these questions. And he's saying, listen, you better understand this correctly. Tatacha
Tatha cha
Shrutihi anagbaga
Shrutihi
Shrutihi
Anadvaga
anagbaga advasu
advasu
parayishnavaha.
parayishnavaha.
It's quoting from Itihasa Upanishad. Tathacha is typically the kind of phrase uses to show that it is also shown in either a Shruti or a Smriti or wherever. So he says, like this, there are many, he says, Ityadyaha, Ityadyadya. That there are many iti adayaha. Adayaha, many. But he quotes one. In the Shruti, Tachacha Shrutihi, Anadvaga. Anadvaga is one who does not need to take any path, doesn't have to go anywhere. Anadvaga, Advasu, sorry. That traveler, although we call him a traveler, Advasu, Paraishnavaha, Samsaraparam Gantaraha, one who wants to transcend samsara, one who wants to understand the truth of samsara, the truth of I, the truth of Ishvara. Such a person, such a traveler, Advasu, does not travel, does not have any physical travel. Anadvaga. Iti Upanishad, Itihasa Upanishad, etc. In other places also you will find this. Tathacha
तथा च
Darshayati Pratyagatmatvam Sarvasya.
दर्शयति
प्रत्यगात्मत्वं
प्रत्यगात्मत्वं सर्वस्य.
Therefore, this following mantra also shows the nature of the self as being Pratyagatma. Tathacha Darshayati shows, reveals Pratyagatmatvam. Sarvasya Pratyagatmatvam. Therefore, this objection that you had is invalid. How does he show that? Esha sarveshu bhuteshu
एष सर्वेषु भूतेषु
gudotmana prakashate
गूढोत्मान
प्रकाशते
drishyate tvagraya buddhya
दृश्यते त्वग्रया बुद्ध्या
sukshmaya sukshmadarshibihi.
सूक्ष्मया
सूक्ष्मदर्शिभिः.
Eshaha atma sarveshu bhuteshu gudaha. It is hidden in every bhuta. Not only that, because it is hidden in the bhuta, because it is pratyagatma, ataha, therefore, na prakashate. Prakashate means is not seen, not perceptible. Generally not perceptible. How can I say this? If I have been spending so much time trying to study this, to understand this one thing only. How am I going to understand it if it does not reveal itself, or if I have no method of learning this? Sukshma darshibihi, ones who are capable of seeing that which is difficult to see. Sukshma darshibihi. Those people who have this sukshma buddhi, a buddhi which is sharp, and a buddhi which is sukshma. Generally, we use our gross buddhi, all the gray cells and everything else. That is not what we are talking about here. Those are good for knowing any object. In fact, the more sukshma the object is, the more sukshma the buddhi has to be able to see it. That is why if you, even in the normal this thing, the more intangible something we're trying to learn is, more difficult it is. Psychology, understanding the working of the mind, all sukshma. Or understanding the cosmos at the big level. There also it is sukshma, because it is not easily seen. You want to see what a physical object is, even if I don't know that object can be described through the various means that we already have. One can show the object, and this is what I'm talking about. We used the example of the puck earlier. I don't know what a puck is, because I've never seen ice hockey being played. But if somebody shows me a puck and saying, this is what they use, a flat disc, then he can give all the characteristics. It's made of this material, it is weighs so much, the diameter is so much, the thickness is so much, and so on. And they use hockey sticks to push it around on ice into the goal. Of course, ice hockey has other aspects of it. I don't know if you're aware. They also target not only the puck, they target the opponent also. More people get hurt in playing ice hockey. That aside, I know now what the puck is. Okay, I don't know. There is no puck available to show, but you can also show it by example. Upamana. How? I don't know. If you take something like a Karen striker, oh, it is something like this. It's a little thicker, a little bigger. I can understand. But if somebody has to tell me there is something called a black hole, how am I going to understand it? It is more sukshma. In fact, most scientists who work on things like black hole, things like the smallest of particles, the theory of how these particles operate, like a light wave or like a wave or like a probability, or various theories for that, all are unseen. They only infer through various mathematical calculations. It is sukshma. It is not a direct knowledge available to us. Now, here is something which is not even an object of any kind. Forget about tangible, intangible. You. How am I going to understand this? Each time you look at a sukshma object also, the buddhi has to be very sharp, very focused, very clear, undisturbed, unwavering. Otherwise, you're never going to understand what this, these people talk about God particle. How are you going to understand God particle? You can't see it. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. You can't do anything. But you have to understand it. I'm not even talking God particle. I'm talking about you. How are you going to understand it? So the buddhi has to be very sharp. It has to cut out all the sthula knowledge for the moment for it to be able to see the subtle sukshma vastu. I am using the word sukshmatamam, although Shastra doesn't use the word sukshmatamam. So Shastra simply says, sa kashta sa paragati. Sa kashta, it is the ultimate. There can be nothing beyond this. Sukshmatamam. Superlative degree of sukshma. So, sukshma darshibhihi tvagraya tu agraya. Sukshmaya buddhya drishyate. Very key thing that this mantra reveals. Why is it that not everybody gets this? Why does Bhagavan say that out of thousands and thousands of people, hardly anybody gets it. Manushyamnam sahastreshu kashchit yatati siddhe. Only few people even make an effort to know this. Even among them, yatatananapi siddhanam kashchit mam vetti tattvataha. Only very few even understand the real truth of Ishvara, which is the truth of you. Bahunam janmanam ante. It takes not one janma. But Swamiji, I have how many more janmas I have. Maybe you don't even know how many more janmas you had before this. You've been trying. The fact that you come and try and learn this indicates that you already had a lot of effort put in earlier. So maybe you'll get it soon, this janma. So one doesn't have to be scared by Bahunam Janmanam Ante. That already the mind has been trained, which gets disturbed in each janma. Okay, when we start the janma, the mind is goes everywhere. And the world around us tries to push us there. You must grow and become a big man, earn a lot of money. All that we are pushed into from the very beginning. But already a lot of work has been done. Therefore, the Buddhi finds it easier to come back to this Sukshmatama Buddhi. So, Sukshma Darshibihi, the ones who are able to see that which is not easy to see, to Agraya. Agraya is very sharp. Sukshmaya Buddhya. By that very sharp, very Sukshma Buddhi, is able to see Drishyate. All Tritiya. With that Buddhi which is sharp, which is Sukshma, one is able to see. Because these are all, in English, if you translate, it will say, Sarva Bhuteshu Godha. It is hidden. Hey, it is considered the most open secret. It is available. We just don't see it. In that sense, it is secret. Probably the most open secret of anything. But it is called Buddha because of that. Because of our own conditioning, we are not able to see this. Therefore, one has to train one's mind to understand that everything else as object is mithya, is anatma, and eliminate that. That is why all those mantras are pushing us in that direction. But the self is not very funny. It's obvious and yet not obvious. The nature of self is obvious and yet not obvious. Nobody rejects I. And a little bit of vichara tells that the assumption I made about I being this or that is wrong. It stops there. After that, where is the inquiry? There is only one place where this is clearly shown. One pramana. Shastra pramana. Even before one reaches there, one gets distracted saying, no, I don't have time for this. I am going to spend time doing so many other things. Doing well at my job, earning more money, looking after my family, all the rest of that will come, which is normal. I will look at it later, after retirement. But when one has gone through this over several janmas, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, one is already at a level when one says, no, I have to find it. So many people, or few people, even when they get into the teens, start questioning and start searching. Others start searching later. Which is why when I see youngsters in these classes, I feel that there is hope. There's a lot more that can be done. Self is not obvious, and yet it's obvious. It's obvious to those who are able to exercise their sukshma buddhi, the sharp intellect. There, what is sukshma darshibihi? Who are these sukshma darshibihi? Sukshma atma tattvam drashtum shilam yesham te taihi, by them. Who is Sukshma atma tattvam drashtum shilaha. The ones who have the capacity to see this sukshma atma tattvam. It is not a physical body that you can see. It is not even an intangible object that you can see. Therefore, there are only a few people who are sukshma darshibihi. By them, taihi, this people who have the capacity to see this. That's why what happens when we even study this in class, it looks very logical. It looks as if I understood. And then I go back, the old ideas keep flooding back. That sukshma darshibihi, by them, by ones who have the sukshma darshana shilam, capacity. Let's look at the Bashyam. Esha Purushaha
एष
एष
पुरुषः
पुरुषः
Sarveshu,
सर्वेषु
in every being. How does it say? Brahmadi Stamba Paryanteshu
ब्रह्मादिस्तम्भपर्यन्तेषु
ब्रह्मादिस्तम्भपर्यन्तेषु
Gudaha.
भूतः.
See this Atma, we are trying to understand the self is in every being. Brahmadi Stamba Paryeshu. Starting from Brahmaji, Prathamaja. That means in the entire Jagat, which starts with Brahmaji, down to everything, insects, sea creatures living in the sea, amoeba, whatever. Everything included, Sarva Bhuteshu, Gudaha, is hidden. Why? Why is it hidden? Is it Samvritaha,
अमृतः
संवृतः
Darshana Shravanadi Karma,
दर्शन
दर्शन
श्रवणादि
श्रवणादिकर्म
Avidya Maya Channaha,
अविद्या
अविद्या
मायाच्छन्नः
मायाच्छन्नः
Samvritaha. That Vru Dhatu again, it is covered, Samyak covered. Vru Dhatu also has a meaning of surrounded by, covered by. So Samyak Vritaha, Samvritaha. Then they use a compound here. We will look at the compound in a minute. By what? Avidya Maya Channaha. Achannaha, covered by again. Avidyaya, by avidya, which is Maya. Bhashyakara uses this one compound here, Darshana Shravanadi Karma. You can look at it any way you want. Essentially, these are, again, Aupacharika for every type of action. Darshana Shravanadi Karma, which implies Kartrutvam. All this Kartrutvam is Maya driven. avidya driven. And this avidya driven kartrutvam, not only kartrutvam, all the other karakas that come along with it, all of them push us into not recognizing the Atma and therefore Gudaha. So, Gudaha is Samvritaha Darshana Shravanadi Karma Avidya Maya Channaha. Maya Achannaha. Now it's covered. We are born ignorant and we are not able to get out of it easily. Atayeva
अतएव
अथएव
Atma na prakashate
आत्मा न
आत्मा न
प्रकाशते
प्रकाशते
Atmatvena
आत्मत्वेन
आत्मत्वेन
Kasyachit.
कस्यचित्
कस्यचित्
Therefore, because it is Mayaya, Vidyaya covered, avichinna, and we are all stuck with all the karakas. I am the karta, I am the bhokta, I am doing this action, this karma, I am using this to do this action, karma. Once you take one karaka, everything follows. That is why we keep reminding ourselves. Because the world around us keeps reminding us that, listen, you are this body, mind, sense complex. And therefore behave accordingly. But we keep reminding ourselves. Using one action as an example. What do we say? Every time we sit down to eat, we say this. We say the mantra, no? Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavihi, Brahmagnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. All karakas are nothing but Brahman. The world pushes us to think of each karaka and apply it to us and say, I am that. I am the karta, I am doing this karma, I am using this instrument to do the karma, I am doing it for the benefit of so-and-so, I am doing it here, I am doing this karma. Of which results I am going to enjoy, experience. So he says, Atayeva Atma na prakashate atmatvena kasyachit. What happens? Atmatvena kasyachit na prakashate. It is not revealed. It is not available for recognition. As what? Atmatvena, Swarupena. I can recognize Atma because I have studied and I have got all the qualities of Brahman understood. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Oh, I know Brahman. It is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. But as the Swarupa, as the self, it does not reveal itself kasyachit to anybody. Generally. But some people are able to see it because they are sukshma darshibhihi. Atayeva atma na prakashate, because it is covered. Only one who can with his sukshma buddhi pierce that veil and see that atma. What an expression to use. You don't see the atma, you understand you. Swarupena, as yourself, as the self, as the I. So when I understand this as that I, then only I can see. Otherwise, for people in general, Atma Atmatvena na prakashate kasyachit. It doesn't show itself, reveal itself. Although we all keep saying, oh, Atma is self-revealing, is self-effulgent, and etc., etc. But because of this problem of avachinna by Maya, we have an issue that it is not clear. Even after study, it doesn't shine as it should shine. It doesn't reveal itself. Na prakashate. Bhashyakara used a very nice expression in the next sentence. Aho. Aho is an exclamation. Sometimes one of pleasant surprise, sometimes one of, my God, grief. Aho.
Aho.
Atigambhira.
Atigambhira.
Duravagahya.
Duravagahya.
Chitra Maya Cheyam.
Vichitra Maya Cheyam.
Sarva Jantuhu Paramartha Tataha.
Yadayam
Sarva
sarvo
Jantuhu Paramartataha.
This Atigambhira. Gambhira, you know, in fact, the word Gambhira itself sounds Gambhira. Very profound, very heavy. Atigambhira Duravagahya. Avagahya. Same Avagati. Again, Avagahya. That which is like incomprehensible. Duravagahya. And multifold. Vichitra. Vaichitriam. This Jagat is so many things. So many different materials, so many different shapes and sizes, so many different purposes. That Vaichitriam, in that to be able to see the one non-changing Adhishthanam becomes difficult because it is Abhigambhira Durvagahya. In all these fancy gold things, I'm able to penetrate through all of the variety and see the gold. And see whether it is pure gold or 18 karat gold. That ability to transcend all those beautiful or not beautiful things that you see in the shops selling golden ornaments. Our drishti remains only up to that point. What a beautiful chain. What beautiful work. I wish it were a little longer or shorter. Drishti stops there. Like in the thing we've been discussing in the last camp, Drishti stops with wave. Drishti stops with ocean. Only when we're able to see that wave, ocean, everything, there is only one Adhishthanam, water. In the gold chain, the gold bangle, in the gold biscuit, in everything, I see only gold. Because of my drishti. Therefore, this Vishaya, which is Atigambhira, Duravagahya, Vichitra. Maya cheyam yadayam sarva jantuhu paramarthataha. Not able to see the Paramatma vision. What is Paramarthataha? Paramartha Sattvastaha api evam bodhyamanaha. Even when we attend classes, even when we are taught by a guru who has understood, even then we have a problem because this is Gambhira Vishaya, Ati Gambhira Vishaya, Duravagahya Vishaya, Vichitra. Because the Buddhi is seeing so much variety, so many names, forms, and utilities, in each one of them, to be able to see that Adhishthanam as the unchanging Atma. Not only that, as the unchanging Atma, and seeing that unchanging Atma has to be I. There is no other possibility. To internalize that. However much one is taught, it takes enormous amount of effort and time, enormous amount of Shravanam and Mananam and Nididhyasanam before this Durvignya Atma stands clear, signs as I. However much you've learned, however much you have put in effort, all the humans to understand, listen, Paramatma and I are the same. Wave and ocean are the same when you look at it as water. It doesn't happen easily because this is one Gudatma, which is Atigambhira, Duravagahya. Because the Vichitra that's created by Maya, Vichitram created by Maya, Vichitra, Maya Chayam, Yadayam, Sarva Jantuhu, all human beings, all beings, Paramarthataha, taught, listen, you are Ishvara. There is no difference between Ishvara and you. But I see differences. I see differences between gold ornament to gold ornament to gold ornament. Not only that, I see chains and rings and bangles and so on and so forth, but also even within chains, I see so many varieties. Even though, let us assume there is a apprentice or a bullion trader, just fresh out of college. Let's assume it's a girl, and then bullion trader is teaching her. Takes her to this gold ornament shop and tells her, she's awed by the shop. Look at the number of gold, and maybe he goes to Dubai and goes to take her to the gold souk. Hey, look at that. She's the first time she's gone anywhere out. She looks at that, stunned. The varieties, the type of gold, the quantities. And he tells her, what do you see? And she says, Ma, beautiful. Look at those. Look at the number of chains that are hanging there. Each one is a gem. Each one is a miraculous creation. Oh, look at this side. Look at the number of bangles. Wow. He lets her be. And then he says again, what do you see? She can't see anything beyond that. She's a novice. So he's training her. Transcend those chains, transcend those bangles. What do you see beyond that? Beyond is not a good word. What do you see once you go there? So till she is able to say, this is gold lightweight, this is gold big gold, he will keep at it. We're all going through the same thing. Look at the world, look at the variety, look at the beauty, look at the Ishvara's creation. I look at the creation of Ishvara. I am already different from Ishvara. So somebody has to tell me, take the next step. What do you see? That next step we will take tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om